Huomenta kaikki. Mukava nähdä, että on näin paljon väkeä. Pitää ensin tehdä tällainen kielitsekki. So how many people do we have in the audience who have no clue what I just said earlier? Okay, if you have a blue or green tag, put down your hands. If you have a lila tag, keep your hand up so I can see. Okay, we have a few. Okay, so I'm going to stick with English then, as this is a keynote, and I want to make sure everybody has as fun as I have speaking about it. So I have an interesting topic today, the era of the intelligent enterprise. Kind of makes you think that our whole enterprise is quite stupid today, but that's not the point. We've come a long way with technology. We've been speaking about this digitalization thing for quite a long time, like 5 or 6 years now. And we have all these cool things like cloud and mobile and lightweight architectures and so forth. And that begs the question of what's happening next. And part of my job is to think about that. Where are we going next? And I have a strong feeling that this is where we are going next. That the big thing that we're going to talk about the next 5 to 6 years is really intelligence and intelligent enterprises and how that will shape the world. So I will here try to give you a bit of a glimpse of what I'm thinking about the intelligent enterprise right now. And I have a few topics, 3 topics. It's quite popular in Accenture to talk about 3 things for some reason. So I'll talk about 3 things. There are probably a lot more things to say about the intelligent enterprise, but that's what I can squeeze into the half an hour or so I have here. So the first thing is obviously artificial intelligence, which I think everybody is aware of is the big topic of the day. And why? So artificial intelligence, in this yellow line here, shows the progress of it, has really been talked about since the 50s. So the term artificial intelligence was coined in 1956. In the 60s, we already had basic speech recognition, so you could talk to a computer and have it, do stuff for you, like what is 1 + 1, and it could respond like 2. In the 60s, we had robots that could sense their environments already. In the 70s, neural networks were invented, kind of mathematical models that mimic how our brain works. But still, nothing really happened. And when I started studies, I was planning to study artificial intelligence back in the 90s, but that was not something I then decided to do because it was really flatlining at the time. In 2006, something called deep learning popped up. There was a lot of research done, and deep neural networks were invented. And the concept of training artificial intelligence networks was kind of becoming reality. And that's when things started kind of popping up. And we had IBM's Deep Blue in 2007 making a lot of splash in the news. So ever since, we've seen this arrow bump up. And it's going up very, very fast. And it's going to go out of the top of this slide very, very quickly. So why this? So we had the deep learning models now popping up, but we have a few other things as well. First of all, storing data is extremely cheap. Not free, but almost free. We have massive amounts of data to store. And data is very, very important in artificial intelligence. Data beats any type of algorithm out there, right? If you have enough data of anything, it allows you to do conclusions much more thoroughly and better than you could do with more traditional modeling methods. So data is the new gold, right? So you can have data, you can store it. Then we have massive amounts of various frameworks out there, most of them open source these days. So the basics of doing deep learning and machine learning is available for everybody for free. And we have the hands-on lab this afternoon where you get your hands dirty with this if you participate. And then we have a massive amount of processing power as well. So training these networks takes a lot of capacity, and we now can get that capacity almost for free as well from cloud services. The good thing, though, is that once you've done all this and you have trained a neural network, executing it does not take a lot of capacity. And all of you have these things today on your mobile phones. You all use them on these things or in the internet services, in the social media. Google Translate, Google Search rankings, all these things today are already based on this technology. So we are all massive users of artificial intelligence today already. However, in the corporate world, that's not the case. And that's what's going to change rapidly. So if you think about this from a more architectural perspective or kind of a technology perspective, on the left-hand side, we have all the stuff we've been doing to date. We've been doing coding, and then somebody might have code, and we might use it, and we might configure it, or we might add rules, there are various levels of abstraction in terms of model-driven development and so forth. But all of this really circled around the fact that you code stuff, right? And that's been the world today. And now, with machine learning and all these sensors that are available, we're building up a new leg, right? With sensors, you capture data, you build deep learning models based on neural networks, and you build something that can execute just like code. But you teach it instead of coding it or configuring it. So think of the world as we've been dominated by this, let's code it, and now we have this new thing on the side, which is, let's teach it. And because we only had this one part in the past, it's dominating our world. That's the way we do things. And now when we have this new thing emerging, we need to find the right balance between these two things, right? What should we do by teaching, and what should we do by coding and configuring? We don't know where this line will end up, right? But it's not going to be black and white. This is not going to take over. But there will be a new line that we need to find where we're going to end up. Now, artificial intelligence and deep learning is kind of the thing happening right now. Obviously, there will be a massive evolution in AI going forward. It's not going to stand still. So, for example, knowledge representation is an interesting area. So capturing data to really kind of drive conversations, for example. So, a car has 4 wheels. We all know this. But if you have a chat with an insurance bot, how does it know that when you talk about your tires, that it's actually the car? So there's a lot of work that needs to still go into AI to really make it more intelligent. But right now, deep learning is here. It's available, it's used massively, and it's going to change the world. So how? So first of all, it will replace humans that do boring things. So who wants to read tickets in support? Anybody? No, nobody wants to do that, right? So why should they? Why don't we have a computer do stuff that's boring? Because we can do that, right? At Accenture, our IT support email box, which gets a lot of emails, is not read by a human today. It's read by a computer. AI will help us do stuff at scale, which we can't do today. So who's been queuing to a call center recently? There's no point anymore. You can chat and talk to all your customers in real time and even personalized. AI will also help us people become better. So when there's complex things, AI will help us do those things. So think about a new doctor just graduated from med school, has a difficult case. What if you could capture the knowledge of people who've been a long time in the branch into learning models so they can give advice to this new doctor, right? I would rather go to that kind of a new doctor than one that doesn't have that type of support, right? And then finally, AI will start to help us do things better as humans. So it will help us achieve our goals. Humans are not error-free. Sometimes when a human does something and we get a 60% hit rate, it's actually very good. So computers can make us better. An example of this is there's a US company, startup called Betterment in the finance sector, and they capture a lot of data from the way people trade on their platform and manage their portfolios. And they've concluded that people do stupid things. So by analyzing the data, putting into a model, and figuring out what drives good behavior, they can then adapt their services. So what they do is they hide the daily portfolio change when you log into the site. Because humans make stupid decisions when you see that your portfolio is going down today and do panic sales. And that is not what you should do. Because those who don't react to daily fluctuations actually earn more money over a long time. So AI will help us achieve our goals better. And that will come into workplace and your home and everything. Like, it will be pervasive. So AI is a critical element of the intelligent enterprise, the kind of technical foundation. Now, to take advantage of AI and these possibilities, you need to start thinking differently. That gets us into the next point around the intelligent enterprise. Now, I'm not really sure this headline is the correct one, but I've been using this for a while and I'm chewing on it, what would be a better one. The fundamental thinking behind this is that we've been adapting to technology as individuals, as an organizations for a long period of time. When there is some new tech out there, or there's some new product out there, everybody's running after it, right? And this is a repeat pattern. It's happened throughout history. So somebody's e-commerce, one of your competitors is doing something in the online, and there's an e-commerce solution, then, oops, if you are a retailer, you need to have an e-commerce solution, right? Somebody's doing analytics and data warehousing, you need to do this. The IT industry is full of these three-letter acronyms, which are these things you need to do because everybody else is doing them, right? But that's not helping you, really. Because it's a fact that many companies are challenged because of this. This is a staggering statistics that a large portion of the big companies don't survive being big very long today. And in fact, the average expected or life expectancy of a Fortune 500 company today starts to be less than 15 years. 100 years ago, it was 75 years. And this is because companies tend to do what other companies tend to do. So it's pretty easy to guess where you're going. And if there is competition that's thinking out of the box, they can do things. And in this age of technology, it's much more easy to do things. So hence, companies keep disappearing with a faster rate, unless they realize this. There is no such thing as a fast follower in this age of digital technology. If you just follow other people, you risk extinction. So what you really need to think about is the fact that, hey, the world today is not a set of predefined patterns that you implement in IT or even in business. But there is massive opportunities out there And you need to start thinking about what do you really want to do? What is the core of your organization, your company? How are you going to really differentiate and not just follow the pack? And this is true for IT, and this is true for business. And if you do this, you kind of start thinking, right? It's not about what products you can get, it's about what patterns your organization should be adopting. Technology is evolving so fast that it's very difficult even to try to take advantage of this. This might have been possible earlier, but the pace of change is so rapid that if there is something new, everybody will know of it immediately. So 2 weeks ago, I was coming home. I was talking to my younger daughter. She's 14 years old, and I always ask her, "How are you doing in school? You know, do you have some homework for tomorrow? Blah blah blah." And she goes like, "Yeah, I'm working on this presentation I have, in school." And that's good, because I think school's much better these days than when I was there. They do more teamwork and presentations. I was like, good. So what are you doing a presentation on? And she goes like, artificial intelligence. And I go like, wow, I do those presentations as well. And I've never spoken about AI to her, right? We do have an Alexa, or a few Alexas at home, right? So she's talking to these things, right? And so just on her own. So then I said, "Can you show me your presentation?" And she goes like, yeah. And she has many slides and all kinds of cool stuff on the slides. And then she's kind of made this kind of explanation of how does AI work. So she's got this one slide where she has this vacuum cleaner, right? And then she's got this programming language on the side that says, kind of move left and move right and move left, right? And this is how you can program a vacuum cleaner in the old way. Because that's what they learn. They do all this kind of programming in school, right? And that's what happens. And then she had this other slide where she had the vacuum cleaner, and then it was hitting all kinds of obstacles and learning to kind of navigate based on computer vision and other stuff, right? So this was AI to her, right? But the fact is that, this is the situation today. You need to realize that technology really is kind of just an enabler. You need to start thinking, because everybody is thinking. They're thinking in school already, right, today. So, pattern over product was the second point. So if you have AI, you have all kinds of new capabilities. If you think out of the box, you have the ability to do new things. But that does not obviously yet guarantee success. You need to keep your house in order. And this is probably the most difficult piece of all. So IT equals business is not true today in many places. IT was there to kind of support business to begin with, doing, one of the first systems Accenture ever built in the 60s was a payroll system. So doing back office processing. And then IT's evolved to kind of help run the business today, right? So without IT, no organization will work. But in very few places is there a realization that actually IT starts to be the business. And that it's very difficult to differentiate these two anymore. But unfortunately, it's many times still a cost center only. And an important step is to kind of push your thinking in this space. And the reason is the following. So here we have a timeline at the bottom, 10 to 20 years. And these green curves kind of show a kind of an evolution of IT in terms of its ability to do things. And then you can think of this y-axis as kind of layers of kind of ability. So if you're at the bottom, things are quite bad, and the higher up, the better off you are, right? And to simulate this, I'll explain how this works. So typically, there's always at some point in time a big program where we fix things so they will work. And then once you've had that program, you focus on new things, right? You do cool stuff, and life is great, and you do agile or whatever in these days, microservices and mobile apps and VR, IR and MR and so forth. And then there is a reason to start saving money, and cost efficiency hits in, because we reached our peak now, and let's focus on other things. And there's a slow decline in IT's ability to do things. You reduce headcount, and you even have problems, so you start outsourcing because you can save money that way. Doesn't really give you more ability, and suddenly you're kind of back where you started. And this cycle happens in every organization, and it takes a long time. It takes 10 to 20 years. Now, if you do really stupid stuff, it can make shorter time as well, right? And if you do mergers or acquisitions, you might find yourself there quite quickly. But no worry, because we have the remedy for this, right? We start a big program, and we fix all things. And we have a lot of fun, and Accenture makes a lot of money, and so forth, right? However, if you think about this and put this in the context of what I'm just speaking, the fact that technology has evolved, life expectancy is much shorter. You don't have time to do this anymore. Even if this was okay to do in the past. But if you are putting your energy into a 5-year program, which sucks all your business people and all the focus of IT, then you enter a zone of deadness or innovation stillness, or whatever you want to call it, right? Which hasn't been a problem in the past. But I do believe that this will be a problem in the future. And part of being an intelligent organization is to avoid this stuff. Now, who's avoiding this today? Okay, if you're a very small organization, it's more easy to do. The bigger you are, the more complicated it gets. Those who really do this today are those organizations who treat IT as business. So that means quite a few of the digitally native organizations. They don't sit on their laurels. They continuously invest in IT. They don't generate functional or technical debt. They simplify processes. They layer their architecture. They fragment things instead of consolidate things. So if you think about an anti-pattern, which is consolidation. So you have this great thing here, whatever, no brands here, and it's totally feasible to put all your organizational processes into this one box. So why don't we do it? Because we can. And we've been doing that. And there are clients right now, maybe some of you in the audience, who are still planning to do this. But if you have multiple different businesses or product lines, they are different. And in an intelligent world, they will go their own ways. So why do you force them in the same box? Because they have different pricing schemes. They have different product structures. Some of them are selling services. some are selling products, some are going into ecosystems and platforms, some do resell, whatever, right? There's organizational differences, there are geographical boundaries. So the fact that we've been able to do this and drive a lot of efficiencies out of it over the last 20 years doesn't mean that this is the right pattern to do. Now, nothing's black and white, so consolidation is obviously good, but only thinking about consolidation is not good. And there's a long list of things I could go through here to chew on this. So the bottom line is that there needs to be a kind of intelligent aspect to enterprise architecture to make sure your green arrows never dip, but you stay up there in the good zone, and thus you enable the intelligent enterprise, and you make sure that life expectancy is extended. All right, so if you think about this, the intelligent enterprise is essentially the foundation for what we call digital decoupling, which means that you still need to run your old business in a smart way, while at the same time make sure you can do new stuff. So you need to balance between these two worlds. And most importantly, this is the foundation for innovation. If you think about evolution from an IT perspective, we've been doing a lot of technology innovation. There's been a massive democratization of, let's say, the innovation in architecture over the last few years, and this event is a great example of that. All of the things we're talking about here are really bottom-up architecture evolution topics. It's not like a product manager at a big company decided that this is the architecture everybody needs to buy from us, right? And the next step of that is really kind of an understanding that in the process space, we need to drive massive innovation. It's not like all the processes needs to be exactly the same in the whole organization, or that they, in fact, need to be extremely stable, like they are today. So innovation is going to push the impact of technology from, technology's evolved, we've kind of democratized architecture, and now we are entering the space where we're going to shake up the processes of the organizations. Now, innovation is a big topic, and luckily, we have Max, who's sitting over there, who's going to have the other plenary keynote after lunch, and Max will talk about innovation, sustainable, whatever innovation, practical innovation. All right. So with that, I'm out of time. Thank you, and enjoy the day. Think about all the cool things we have here. They are cool because they are technically interesting. They are cool because they change the way architecture works, and they're cool because they will help drive you towards the intelligent enterprise. Thanks.